Alright, 171 class, this is another homework example from 1.9. This is problem number 13. So in this, what we're being asked to do is simply just graph this circle. So the standard equation of a circle, again, it's based on the Pythagorean theorem if you remember from your notes. And the standard equation is what we use, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared to come up with this center. So center is hk when we have it written this way, and the radius is r. Okay, so if you look here, there is no minus 8. We're not adding or subtracting anything from x. So just remember, we can always write that as x minus 0, because x minus 0 is x. So in that case, 0 is our h, so our center is 0, and then y minus k, we're subtracting 3 minus k, so k, not minus 3, but 3, because there's this minus sign in the actual standard form of a circle. So that is k, just the number that we're subtracting. So 0, 3 is the center of this circle. Okay, and then the radius is r. Now notice this number is r squared. So r squared is 9. So r is the square root of this, so r equals 3. Now technically r is 3 or negative 3, but since r is a distance, we call it positive 3. Now when you get into 172, you will deal with a negative radius, but just know for right now, don't worry about the plus or minus. This is one of those exceptions where you're taking the square root to solve and you don't need a plus or minus. Alright, so I'm going to go right 3, up 3, down 3, left 3 to freehand it. Now, again, you have the software. I'm going to show you just a second on MyLabs Plus. You won't have to freehand it. You'll be able to do something similar to what I do with this circle feature in this writing program that I do, where you just click the center and then you just go out to a point on the circle. Alright, so anyway, there's the circle graph. Now the second part of this says come up with the domain and range. Okay, remember the domain is the part of the graph, the x-coordinates on the graph. So the x-coordinates start here at negative 3, and there's x-coordinates all the way through until we get to positive 3. And then there's no more graph as I move left or right. So our domain is from negative 3 to positive 3. And then our range, again, it's the y values. So there's a y coordinate to 0 here is the smallest y value. And then I'm moving like a horizontal line as I move up all the way until I get to 6. And again, brackets are used because those numbers are included on the graph. So there's the domain and range of this thing. Remember, domain is the x coordinates. So remember, when you're doing domain, we talked about this at the very beginning of the semester. But think about a vertical line panning left to right, and you're asking, where does it start hitting the graph? Okay, so it starts right there at negative 3 on the x-axis, and it keeps hitting the graph until it gets to positive 3 on the x-axis. So that's the domain. And then for range, you're doing the same thing, except it's a horizontal line that starts at the bottom and works its way up. Okay, so the first place it hits is the x-axis, which means y is 0. And then as we make our way up, it keeps hitting the graph until we get to 6. And above 6, there's no more y coordinates. So 0 to 6 is our range. Now on the software, when you do this, when I do this same problem in the software, let me blow this up so you can see it a little better maybe. What I need to use here is the circle tool to graph it. So when I graph it, I have to use this little circle tool right here. And if you click the circle tool, it tells you click the graph to plot the center of your circle. So we determined the center of the circle, if you recall, to be 0, 3. So that's on the y-axis. So there's 0, 3. And you can tell up here in the corner, if I bring this over a little, you can tell over there in the corner that I'm talking about. That's the point that I'm going to plot if I click it. So it says I'm going to plot 0, 3. I click it. There's the center. Notice as I move my cursor away, I start getting a circle. Okay, and then it says click the graph to plot a point on your circle. So just as long as it's any point, it doesn't matter. And I said the radius was 3. So if I just move over to the right, 1, 2, 3, 3, then I can click there. I can go up and click there, left 3, down 3. Okay, but don't go like 1, 2, 3 diagonally like that, because that's too big. Just make sure you go left, right, up, or down for your second point. All right, save it, and then check to make sure that that's the circle that you need. All right, and then it's going to ask you for your domain. So bracket -3, 3, bracket, and then the range is bracket 0, 6, bracket. All right, so that's how you use the circle graphing tool on this problem. Center first, and then any second point on the circle.